Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how to knit the super cozy winter headband or ear warmer. This pattern is made for absolute beginners. And don't worry if you've never touched knitting needles before. We'll go slow and I'll show you every stitch step by step. If you already knit, this is going to be a super easy pattern for you. It's very basic, very quick, and very simple. If you have knit before, I have the free pattern over on my website at queenbee.com. You can use this link here. If you're watching this video on your TV, you can scan this QR code here. Take a picture with your phone and tap the link that pops up and it'll take you right to the pattern. You won't have to leave the video at any time to make this headband. I have a chart that's going to pop up periodically throughout the video to show you exactly how many stitches you're going to need to cast on, or how many rows you're going to need to knit, or how many rows of ribbing you're going to have to do. I'm even going to show you how to sew up the seam at the end. If you're a more experienced knitter and all you need help with is how to sew up the seam, here's the timestamp so you can go there. The pattern is free to read on my website. You won't be able to print it though. That I have reserved for my Buy Me a Coffee members. If you are a member and support my work over on Buy Me a Coffee, you can download and print this pattern for free. All of the links are in the description below. The Buy Me a Coffee link is also down there if you would like to support my work and see more patterns like this in the future. Gauge for this pattern really isn't important. As long as you're using the right size needle, the gauge doesn't really matter. I designed this pattern with tons of stretch in it, so it should fit regardless of what your gauge is. You will need worsted weight yarn for this pattern. It will look something like this. If you are not a North American knitter, you may need to go onto Google and find what weight of yarn that you need. Another weight that's very close to this is Aran weight. I know that that's sometimes what people use over in the UK. Alrighty then, let's grab our needles and start knitting.
With the worsted weight yarn of your choice and size 4mm or US size 6 knitting needles, begin casting on. Start by wrapping the yarn around the needle and over the yarn as shown. To maintain the tension, wrap the yarn around your little finger, over your ring finger, under your middle finger, and over your pointer finger. It will look like this. Insert your needle in the loop from left to right. Yarn over and pull the yarn through the loop. Pull a large loop and twist. Place the loop on your non-working needle. You now have 2 stitches. Yarn over. Catch the yarn and pull up a large loop. Twist and place the loop on the non-working needle. You now have 3 stitches cast on. Keep repeating this until you have the correct number of stitches you need for the size you are making. This chart shows you how many stitches you need to cast on. You can pause it and take a screenshot if you need to. It will look like this when done. It will twist on the needle. It always happens, so don't worry. Double check to make sure you've cast on the correct number of stitches. Insert your needle from left to right. Yarn over and pull the loop through. Carefully drop the stitch from the non-working needle. You have now knit 1 stitch. Insert your needle from left to right, yarn over and pull the loop through. Drop the stitch. Keep repeating this stitch for all stitches on the needle. You can pull the starting end to snug up the first cast on stitch. The stitches will twist again. When you flip it over to knit the next row, you can easily untwist them if you like. Continue knitting across for the correct number of rows. Here's the chart again. This is the number of rows you'll need. This row will also twist. It will stop doing this once you've completed enough rows. Continuing along, I want to show you how to count the rows. The starting end is on the left, and the right side is facing you. Here you see 6 ridges. Each ridge is 2 rows. There are 12 rows completed. For all sizes, we need to end with an odd number of rows, so we need to knit 1 more row. In the front of the stitch, insert your needle from right to left. Yarn over. Catch the yarn and pull through the loop. Drop the stitch. 1 purl stitch made. Insert from right to left, yarn over, pull through, drop the stitch. Continue purling stitches like this to the end of the row. What it looks like when you're done purling. On the other side of the purl stitch, we created a natural line where the work will fold over. This will create a nice bend before the ribbing starts. Now we begin to alternate between knit and purl stitches. On the wrong side of the ribbing, start with a knit stitch. When switching to the purl, pull the yarn forward. Purl the next 2 stitches. To knit the next stitch, pull the yarn back. Knit the next stitch. Pull the yarn forward, purl the next 2 stitches. Pull the yarn back and knit the next stitch. Keep working down the length of the row, knitting 1 stitch and purling 2 stitches. You end the row with a single knit stitch. If you pull the yarn forward or back before dropping the stitch from the non-working needle, it's okay. I do it all the time. Technically, this is the right side of the knitting, but for this pattern, it is the wrong side of the ribbing. The good side is the other side. I know it's confusing, but I'll make sure this works out for you. The right side of the ribbing starts with a purl stitch. Pull the yarn back and knit 2 stitches. Pull the yarn forward and purl a stitch. Pull the yarn back and knit 2 stitches. Repeat knitting 2 stitches and purl 1 stitch to the end of the row. The row always ends with a single purl stitch. The right side of the ribbing is becoming visible. This is the right side of the knitting, but the wrong side of the ribbing. Because it's the wrong side of the ribbing, we start with a single knit stitch. Just like before, pull the yarn forward and purl 2 stitches. Pull the yarn back and knit. Keep repeating the knit 1 purl 2. End the row on a single knit stitch. These 2 rows make up the ribbing section. How many rows you need to make depend on the size. Here's that handy chart again. This is the total number of rows you need to knit. Here's how you count them. With the right side facing, you count the stitches. I have 7 rows completed. Keep repeating the right and wrong side ribbing until your headband looks like this. If you are off a row or 2, it doesn't matter. This will still work. The important thing is that you end with your next row starting on the right side of the ribbing. Purl in every stitch. Once again, this is technically the wrong side of your work, but the right side of the ribbing. This row of purl stitches makes the fold before we start the second garter stitch section. Just like at the start, knit across. How many rows you need to make is based on the size. Once again, here's the chart. If you haven't done it already, this is what the fold does. It gives a nice edge to split the inner garter section from the rib section. Once you have the correct number of rows, you're ready to cast off. Count the rows with the wrong side of the ribbing facing you. In this example, I have 12 rows. The 13th row is making the fold. If you're off, it's okay. Just make sure the wrong side of the ribbing is facing you to cast off. Make sure you have some scissors to cut your yarn. Knit the first stitch. Knit the next stitch. Insert your non-working needle into the first stitch. Pass the loop over the second stitch and the tip of the needle. Knit the next stitch. Insert your non-working needle into the first stitch. Pass the loop over the second stitch and the tip of the needle. Knit the next stitch. Pass the stitch over. Continue knitting and passing the stitch over until you reach the end. When there is one stitch left, cut your yarn. For this project, leave a long length. We are going to use it to sew the seam. Make the loop a bit larger and catch the yarn with the tip of your needle. Pull the yarn through the loop. Pull tight. Now that you're nearly finished, there should be 2 distinct folds, and it should be very, very stretchy. With your tapestry needle, thread the long end of the yarn you cut. With the wrong side of the ribbing facing you, catch the twist or post of the cast-on row. I use the eye end of the needle to avoid splitting the yarn. Pull snug. On the cast-off edge, split the stitch and catch the yarn inside. You can feel it with the needle. Pull snug. Skip the next post of the cast-on edge and pick up the next one. You can do every post and stitch, but it isn't necessary. Skip the stitch and pick up the next one. Keep alternating from side to side down the length of the ear warmers. Every now and then, pull the yarn snug. Make sure to stretch the yarn out again. This is very important. We need to maintain the stretch of the headband. Here I pulled all the stitches together. Be sure to stretch it out as far as you can. Finish sewing the last stitches and pull snug. Then, stretch the ear warmers as far as you can. We need to enable all the stretch in the piece that we can. We now have a tube. Bring the ends together with the wrong garter stitch side facing you. To keep the seam as narrow as possible, we need to sew around the tube. While you can do a flat seam, it will be bulky and uncomfortable to wear. Catch the stitches as you switch sides. I tend to match ridge to ridge and stitch to stitch. Do whatever works best for you. If you're more comfortable with a whip stitch, that will work too. Just like when we were sewing the long seam, pull the stitches snug and stretch them out as far as you can. Flip it so the ribbing is facing you. Match stitch for the narrowest seam. If you have another method you're more comfortable with, do that. Continue sewing the garter stitch section. No need to work in the ends for this one. Simply tie a knot or two to secure the yarn and feed it into the middle of the tube. Thread the cast-on end onto the tapestry needle and do the same with this end. No need to tie off. Pull the ends tight and snip them off. The ends will stay inside the ear warmer.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment below. It always helps the algorithm. Like I said before, there's more free patterns over on my website at queenbee.com. Want to support what I do? Go over to Buy Me a Coffee and support my work there. It helps me keep making free patterns and videos for everybody. I appreciate every dollar that you give me. Let me know what you think and what would you like me to knit next. Happy knitting, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey there! Starting a video is always the hardest part. It always is. Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how to fuck. I made this to match my hoodie. Terrible, hated it, terrible. Okay, that's it, I'm done.